Hey guys, thanks for watching. I just have a quick note today about some revelation God has given me lately about breakthrough and what that looks like. And I keep hearing it come up where people say, you know, I get this far and then I don't go any further, whether that's spiritually, emotionally, or physically. I've been hearing a lot of it spiritually. I know in my own life I've had cycles, and God is a loving parent. He doesn't let us get away with not learning. He doesn't let us get away with not growing. His desire is for us to overcome our fears, overcome those things in our lives where we're afraid of, where we don't want to go to, right? And so a lot of time, I remember before, I had a really hard time keeping a job. And I would just get bored. I'd come to the place where I felt like, you know, or maybe I would get stressed out with the people I worked with or whatever it was, but it seemed like 8 months. Every 8 months I'd go through this cycle where I just want to quit my job, and I would quit my job and I would go on, you know, finding another job, and then I never get anywhere. And I remember I finally got this really good job. It was Monday through Friday. I mean, it wasn't like, you know, an amazing job you get with a degree or anything, but it was good paying. It was Monday through Friday. You know, it was a no-brainer job. I was making pretty good money for considering that it was just a no-brainer job. And I remember about 8 months in, getting really frustrated. There was some people there, and I was like, I don't want to come here anymore. I don't want to show up anymore. I'm going to quit my job. And I remember the Lord sitting me down specifically and saying, look at your life. This is what you always do. Every time we get here, this is how you respond. And I just had this will inside of me, this stubbornness inside of me, enough to say, you know what, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to press on. And so I did. And I remember I worked there for 4 years, and I would have worked there longer, but they had let me go because they closed the business. But that's just a small example of what God was showing me about breakthrough. And he says, you know what, in your life, I don't let you just slide away. If there's something hard in front of you, that's not an excuse for me. And so I'll let you go. I'll give you a leash and a rope and let you go around your own way, but that hurdle's coming back again. You're not going to get past it until you decide to climb over it in my strength. And so I sense that right now. I sense that spiritually with individuals, with churches, with Christianity in general, that there's some hurdles in front of us that we've been weak and we haven't crossed over, and we're saying it's too hard, and we go around and we do our own stuff, and God just brings that hurdle right back, and He's saying, I'm right here waiting for you when you're ready to cross over this hurdle. And so I hear a lot of people say, you know, oh, enlarge in my capacity for you, Lord, enlarge in my ability for, you know, this or that. We want more of God, right? Well, we want more of the good things of God. We don't necessarily want the hardships. We don't want the suffering. We don't want those things. So that's not what we're asking for. When we say enlarge our capacity, we want the feel good, right? And we want the earthly things that we think that come from God, that we're like, yeah, that's what we really mean. But when the Lord was talking to me about breakthrough, He says, if you want your borders enlarged, if you're praying that prayer, if you're praying, God, enlarge in my borders, take me over this wall, you know what He expects? He said, I expect this. I expect that you're going to love beyond that border that you put up where you said, this is where I love to. Anything past this, I can't love past this. He says, you're going to need to forgive past the place that's uncomfortable for you, where places that you've set these imaginary concepts in your mind. You say, yeah, I could forgive this, and this, but I don't know if I'm going to forgive that, because God's going to take you to that place and He's going to say, forgive past this, and then I will enlarge in your borders. He's going to say, trust past those uncomfortable places that you have made these invisible borders in your heart and your mind, and saying, this is where my trust goes to, and past that I don't have any further. And if you don't allow God to stretch you past that, He can't enlarge in your borders as you're asking Him to do. And the most important thing He pointed out, He said, be obedient past the place that you have set up in your heart and mind to say, my obedience stops here. He's going to ask you to do some risky things. He's going to ask you to do some big leaps, some big areas that you're going to have to be obedient and submissive when you don't want to be obedient anymore. You're going to have to be obedient. And He was showing me that obedience is huge in this, because like my youngest, you know, when she was first learning to crawl and she was a baby, we had just this small area of the front room that she could roam around in. And as she went to the next milestone, we, you know, lengthened the, largened those borders a little bit more. And now that she's walking, but not necessarily just because she's walking, but because she's more obedient, we've enlarged them even more. And now we have just baby gates around. And just the other day I was thinking, when I see that she can be a little more obedient and I can trust her a little more, then I can take these gates down and she can have access to the rest of the house. And so God sees us the same way, and he's saying obedience is super important. Before I take you to the next level, I need to know that I can trust you to be obedient to me, that when I speak, you take what I'm saying seriously. And so I feel like that was not just a message to me, but a message to Christianity, a message to the church, and a message to our world in general on a wide scale, saying, you know, we always want more from God, but then we want to give little back in return. And God's saying, I want more in return too. I'm going to need you to do your part with the enlarging. I'm going to need you to trust when I say trust, obey when I say obey, to love when I say love, to forgive when I say forgive. Because sometimes our forgiveness and what we're willing to offer is very small compared to what God is willing to offer when it comes to forgiveness. So he's asking us to move out of our comfortability, move out of those zones that we've set up around us. There are these imaginary borders, these things that we've set up, these hurdles that we're saying we don't want to cross over, and our life would just be over if we had to cross over that. And God's saying it isn't. There's life on the other side. Trust me. Take my hand. Let me do a mighty work in you. Let me enlarge in your borders as you're asking me to do.